I told a lie, and not just any lie. I told the greatest lie of my entire life, and it changed the entire course of my life since I told it. And today, I'm telling you guys that story. Alright, YouTube. How's it going, YouTube? It's your boy Romo Malo back at it again with a new one for you guys. Alright, it's been a very long time since I made a brand new, never before seen video. No re-uploads of my old content. Now, this lie is actually part of the reason why I haven't uploaded in such a long time. I was kind of embarrassed to face myself in the sense of who I was as a man at the time. And I feel like this is a platform where I tend to be really raw and real, and coming on here and just lying didn't feel right to me. Didn't feel okay. I didn't feel good inside. Now, keep in mind, this was a lie about 4 years in the making now. There's only one person who knew the truth, and as I go further into the story, I'll explain that. But only one person knew the actual truth of this situation. Not my brothers, not my parents, nobody. Not even my friends. Nobody, except for that one person. But in order to get a full understanding of what I'm talking about here, we're gonna have to go back to the pandemic, 2020. So during this point in time, I was a senior in college. It was literally my last semester when the pandemic itself broke out. I remember it. I had moved in, I was living on campus, and I had moved into my new dorm. And it was about a month or two, because it happened somewhere around February, March, I believe, that they announced that all on-campus classes were being switched over to virtual. So everybody was being sent home and dismissed and being sent back home for the rest of that semester. Now, you need a little bit of backstory about me. I am not an online learner. I can tell you that much right the fuck now. I suck when it comes to being self-driven. I need some type of structure around me in order to guide me in directions that'll get me to a certain achievement. YouTube, this is why I'm not very consistent with YouTube, because I have to hold myself to some type of since I have to hold myself to some type of accountability, I kind of tend to get lazy very quickly, and you guys can see that by my upload consistency on here. I think the last video I uploaded was this year, but it's been a couple of weeks. I will admit it's been a couple of weeks, but that's only part of the reason why I haven't been uploading. Again, it ties back into this original lie that I told, and I kind of it snowballed, and I needed to get it off my chest. But anyway, back to the original story here. So 2020 comes around, pandemic starts, full effect, everybody gets sent home for school. Now, around this time, I had surgery to get all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed because they were all impacted. And I remember it because it was right shortly after we got sent home. I had all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed. After that surgery, I feel like my entire trajectory of my life went on a complete spiral. I went into a deep depression, and I'm talking like shit was dark. Shit was dark during that time period, I'm not gonna lie. But I went into like a really deep depression where I was just not motivated to do anything. The pandemic did a number on me during that time too. I'm a very analytical person. I tend to run numbers in my head, and I realized once I was doing some of the maths, the amount of people that were gonna die during that pandemic, and my numbers were unfortunately very accurate looking back at it, and that alone was enough to put me down in the dumps, because sometimes I wish I were wrong on certain things. I really do wish I was wrong more often than not. I love to be proven wrong. That actually brings my ego down at least a couple of notches. It's good for my mental health when somebody brings me down a couple of notches whenever I'm wrong. I actually need it, because if not, you can ask my friends. But yeah, I wanted to be completely honest and truthful in this video. So the dark parts are part of this story, and you have to know about all of them. But yeah, during that time period, I got into a really deep, dark depression. I think it's the most depressed I've ever been in my entire life. I don't think I had a semblance of who I was at that point in time. I had to reconstruct who I was as a person and who I wanted to be during this time period. And being stuck at home all day, every day during the pandemic really did not help. I got very deep into reading, luckily, and learning about different new topics and things regarding mental health and the state of a person's mentality, how to change it and how to mold it to be more in line with where a person would want to be. Something that I also got really big into, definitely recommend this. During the pandemic, I got really into hiking and being outdoors and in nature. That shit literally is like a light bulb, opened up my eyes. So during the pandemic, I got really, really depressed, really sad, really bummed out. I didn't want to do anything. And then I had the surgery to get my wisdom teeth removed. After getting the wisdom teeth removed, the recovery time was like a week. I was heavily sedated because all four at the same time is not a pleasant experience. I had to get put under general anesthesia and was KO'd during the operation. And once I got out of it, I was put under heavy medications in order to help me recover with minimal pain. But anyway, that instance is where I noted that a spiraling effect happened for me. So I was heavily sedated that entire time period. I was depressed. I was heavily sedated. I was depressed. And then on top of that, I was in the middle of my last semester of school. Mind you, I only technically needed 2 of the 5 courses I was taking to finish at that time. But that culmination of different things coming together all at the same time was enough to pretty much stun me to the point where I was overwhelmed mentally. I was at a maximum capacity. I could not focus to save my life on anything school related. Needless to say, I failed the semester so miserably. I think it was literally, I logged in maybe twice to the online classes. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. I was set to graduate in May, and my advisor comes to me and they sent me an email and were like, hey, we noticed that your grades are not going to be enough to graduate in this semester. We will give you the option to actually walk on stage, and as long as you finish the last couple of credits that you need by the summer, we will issue you your diploma. And I was completely amazed. I was amazed. It's the only way that I can describe it. By how kind my advisor was and understanding of the situation. And I kind of feel bad looking back at it. I do feel bad about it. I pretty much lied. I lied at that point in time and said, well, yeah, I'll do it. And yeah, I walked on stage. Here's some pictures of me walking on stage. And I was planning to go and finish my degree over the summer. But life does not work how you think it does at all. So literally 1 week, it was 1 week to the date, and I remember this, after my graduation came and went, 1 week to the date, my friend who was working in a recruiting agency at the time contacted me, and he said, hey man, listen, I know you just graduated. I actually have an opportunity for you. They're looking for somebody with a 4-year degree to work as a supervisor at a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And I was like, listen, I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring. I don't expect to get the job. Once they run my background, they'll probably figure out that I don't have the background needed that they want for this job. But I threw my hat in the ring, and I'm just gonna say through a mix of both pure luck and just knowing the right people, I landed the job. Crazy. Beyond my why. I went from extremely depressed to not knowing what to do with myself, because I remember from a very young age, I always used to not know where life was gonna take me. I always knew that I wanted to be great. I just never knew in what shape or form. And getting the opportunity to be in that position alone was like the craziest thing to me. I always begged God. I would be like, please just make me great at something. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. Just make me great at something. Let me be great. And lo and behold, God is great. You just gotta ask for it. You gotta really want it though. If you don't put the work into whatever you ask for, you're probably not gonna get it. I'm gonna be really honest. But if you dedicate yourself to whatever it is that you want, not only will you get it, God will give you that shit in abundance. In abundance is what I've learned. And I don't want to get preachy or anything like that. You have to understand the mental state that I was in during this time. I went from the most depressed I've ever been into my life to easily the most ecstatically enthusiastic and happy I've been in the course of a single year. That is literally, it's jarring. It's a jarring experience is the best way to explain it. But yeah, I got the job. I remember it to this day. I dressed up. I was extremely happy just to get the opportunity to sit down and have an interview. I dressed up in some nice clothes. I prayed. I prayed in my car on my way in. I remember that. I prayed in my car, and I was just like, God, let this interview be in your hands. If you want me to have this job, it's up to you. If I don't have it, it was also up to you. You know why you didn't give it to me. And it was like magic. It was like magic. It just happened. That interview went perfect. Nothing that I could have ever, I don't think I've ever had an interview go so well in my life. I walked in, I was extremely confident for whatever fucking reason. I was so fucking confident. And I think that's the most dangerous thing about it, is the level of confidence that I had going into that interview. Even though I knew I was telling a flat out fucking lie, I was so fucking confident that I was kind of delusional. I was deluding myself to the point where I kind of just believed the lie at that point. I was just like, fuck it. Who's gonna find out? Oh, man. But again, life has such a weird way of working itself out. So I get the job at this time period. I get the job. I get locked in. I get the job, and I realize to myself, I'm like, I've told the lie in order to get this job. I don't actually have the criteria that they were looking for. And even when I did my onboarding, when I submitted my onboarding, I only submitted my associate's degree. I never actually submitted my 4-year degree. I just submitted my transcripts from my 4-year school. Because on the transcripts, it doesn't have whether you graduated or not. It just gives your grades of where you're currently at. Because I told them I technically just finished school, so I don't have my diploma yet. So that's why I don't have a copy of the diploma. But I gave them my transcripts, and apparently that was enough for them to go, okay, well, he's clearly at least a 4-year college. Even though this was definitely a blessing that I got, I also quickly realized that this was actually a punishment that I kind of had to lock into. I had to withstand and push myself, not just physically, but also mentally, to an extreme that I've never been in a work environment. Let me explain. So when I first started, I remember my first day, I went to orientation. Normally in orientations or any type of class settings, I tend to be the type of person that sits in the back. Again, my head is hyped up. I am extremely confident. I go up the stairs to the conference room to where they're holding the orientation, and it was about 7 other people in my orientation class, so I was the only salaried person that was there. Everybody else was gonna be a regular teammate. I sat down at the table, and I remember it to this day. All of the tables had little cards with a person's name and title at the front of the desk. But when you walked into the orientation room, it was facing away from you, so you didn't know where exactly you were gonna sit. So nobody had sat down yet. And I can't explain why. I don't know why. When I got up to the orientation class, I just sat down at the right table with my name and my title. Everybody else had to have their title switch around, but mine was the only one that was correct. I was meant to be there. This was the point in time where I needed to be. There was no question or doubt in my mind. That removed like any type of like hesitation of, should I be doing this? Is this okay? Or this? No. I knew off of that instance alone that I needed to be there. And lo and behold, this one instance that pretty much has locked me into this career path of leadership, a leadership role. I've never been a leader in my entire fucking life. I've never led a group. I've always been the quiet person in the background who never really tried to bring attention onto themselves in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going into a leadership position at a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Like, that shit is mind-boggling. It's jarring is the only way that I can really explain that. But I didn't understand at the time that, at least at the time of signing up, I was too new into the professional field to know which questions to ask at interviews or anything like that. And during the pandemic, it was pretty much one of the most stressful time periods for this company that I was working at. The turnover rate was insane, so people were literally coming in as fast as they were leaving. Looking back at it, I understand now that this blessing was also meant to be my punishment for this lie that I told. And I took it upon myself to not quit. I didn't want to just quit flat out. And during my first 6 months, I pretty much went through hell and back in that building. We're talking like, I remember once I did like a 17 hour shift, flat out, 17 hours. And I wasn't doing like light work. As a frontline leader, you're expected to be on the floor with your teammates, helping them. And I got really locked into trying my best to help these people to get out every single day as early as possible. My rule always was to come in, get the job done as quickly as possible while being as accurate as possible. And it was stressful. It was extremely stressful. It wasn't like an easy peasy walk in the park. I went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of new learning experiences that have made me a lot more confident around people and interacting with people. I was definitely way more reserved and shy back then. Today, I can say that I'm still reserved, but I can step into that role whenever I need to. And again, I can only thank God that He put me into such a role that has made me mature a little bit more. But again, I was very proud of myself in this time period. I was in a position that most people of my age and of my background just don't get to be in. And at this point in time is when the lie just keeps building. I keep telling people who I am, the college that I finished graduating from, and everybody's so proud and happy of me. Little did they know that I was actually lying about my degree. Not at least a job, but at least my degree background. And I always felt extremely bad whenever I had to tell people of this. But fast forward a couple of months back at the top of last year. Actually, prior to the top of last year, it would have been somewhere around the summer of last year. I actually had my managers, the HR manager came up to me and he proposed to me the idea of actually going into an HR role. They actually wanted me to get a promotion pretty much to go into a higher role within the company. And I thought about it long and hard, and I wanted to take the opportunity, but I decided that if I was going to do this, I had to do it the right way. And I sat down with the manager and I told him flat out the truth. I was like, listen, I appreciate that you want to consider me for this role, but I want to be flat out honest. And I told him I didn't complete my 4 years. I was 2 classes short. And if you would still be willing to consider me knowing this, then we can move forward. And interestingly enough, he actually was really kind about it. And he actually recommended that I sit down with the company president, explain the exact same thing that I had told him. And lo and behold, I sit down with the company president, and he appreciated the honesty. He actually appreciated the honesty in that aspect, because I could have easily have lied and gotten to that next level of management. But they explained that it's not until you get into the higher levels of management that they actually look into those, into your background for your educational background. So I was actually given the opportunity to not just go back to school and complete those 2 years. They gave me the opportunity to do that. They actually were willing to pay for me to get it done. They actually paid for me to finish those 2 classes. And today, to this day, I can say that I can only thank those 2 gentlemen for taking that risk on me and allowing me to finish, and allowing me to not just be in the position that I am right now, but also to finish my 4-year degree. And today I get to hold this in my hand. I get to hold this in my hand because of that one good faith instance that they gave me. It was enough to encourage me to push further and actually lock this in. And I thank them for that opportunity. They gave me an opportunity that nobody else, I think, would have, given the circumstances of how I got there. And strangely enough, after this entire experience, there's only 2 lessons that I have personally learned. And that's lesson 1, that piece of paper, this right here, means absolutely nothing. It means nothing, because the person that I am today has nothing to do with this piece of paper. It did not make me any more confident or any less confident in my abilities that I have today having that. And lesson number 2 is that you should absolutely lie to your employer. You're gonna look them directly in the face and you're gonna tell them a flat out lie that'll get you that job. And then after you get that job, you're gonna work your ass off to prove why you should be there. And then after the fact, you should probably tell them the truth, and maybe it'll work out like it did for me. Or maybe you might get fired. I don't fucking know. But don't take advice from me. I'm a fucking moron is all I know. But at the end of the day, recently I actually did come forth and tell my parents the truth. So they're at least aware of this before everybody else becomes aware of it. I did tell them the truth regarding this. They were very supportive of me. And again, the only other person that knew prior to this was actually my girlfriend. She was very supportive of me during this time because I was flat out honest with her, and she's been very kind to me and encouraging me. She was also part of the reason that it encouraged me to actually go out and get my degree done. She actually helped guide me to get to where I am, and I thank her every single day for that. And yeah, it's been so long that I actually have a girlfriend, and you guys didn't even know that. Just to give you an idea of how long it's been since I've made one of these raw, real videos. But yeah, we can get into that in another video. That's a subject for another day. But anyway, you guys, if you like the video, remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm going to be making more content in the near future. I'm feeling a lot more creative recently, and I want those creative juices to keep flowing. I like having this as an outlet sometimes. So remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.